You don't remember me, huh? Come a long way from bumming rides from your mom.
Damn. With Creed 4 in the early stages of development, there are a few key things fans should know. The Creed trilogy is a highly praised spin-off of the iconic Rocky franchise, bringing new life to the boxing saga. The first film earned Sylvester Stallone an Oscar nomination and a Golden Globe win, while Creed 2 and Creed 3 also saw solid reviews, with the third film receiving the best critical reception yet. Set years after Rocky, the series follows Apollo Creed's son Adonis "Donnie" Creed, played by Michael B. Jordan. Under Rocky's guidance, Donnie rises in the boxing world, echoing classic Rocky themes while introducing fresh, personal storylines. Given its success, Creed has the potential to continue for years, as long as Donnie keeps fighting and Jordan stays on board. Now, let's dive into everything we know about Creed 4. Since the big Creed 4 announcement in November 2023, updates have been pretty scarce, but it's safe to assume things are moving behind the scenes. What we do know is that the movie is officially in development, which isn't surprising after Creed 3's massive success. Much like the Rocky series, the Creed franchise is proving to have serious longevity, and producers are clearly invested in keeping it going. Series producer Irwin Winkler confirmed Creed 4 and even hinted at a timeline, saying, "About a year from now, we're going into pre-production." He also emphasized that they have a really good story lined up. Michael B. Jordan is set to direct, solidifying his deep commitment to the franchise. As for the cast, Jordan will obviously return as Donnie, and Tessa Thompson will likely reprise her role as Bianca. Wood Harris, a franchise regular as Little Duke, will probably be back too. However, Jonathan Majors' return as Damien is uncertain due to his real-life legal issues. All this said and done, Sylvester Stallone was the star of the original Rocky, playing the titular Italian stallion and defining the franchise as one of the most iconic in cinema history. Stallone then returned as Balboa in every Rocky sequel as well as the first two Creed spin-offs, with many expecting him to return in Creed 3. However, behind-the-scenes disagreements kept Stallone out of the film, and while there's always a possibility that he could return in Creed 4, he really shouldn't. One of the biggest reasons Rocky shouldn't return in Creed 4 is that Creed 2 already gave him a perfect ending, and bringing him back again would ruin it. Throughout the Creed movies, Rocky has grown apart from his son Robert, with the two not having spoken in years. However, at the end of Creed 2, Rocky decides to travel to Canada to see Robert again, finally reuniting with him and meeting his grandchild for the first time. This emotional moment serves as the perfect conclusion to Rocky's character arc, reinforcing the idea that while Rocky is a legendary boxer, his true legacy is his relationships with his loved ones. Bringing him back in Creed 4 would undermine this message, as it would suggest that Rocky is once again leaving his family behind to be a mentor to Adonis. That wouldn't just waste the beautifully crafted ending from Creed 2, it would also contradict Rocky's own growth as a character. Adding to the issue, bringing Rocky back wouldn't just affect his own storyline, it would also create problems for Robert, aka Rocky Jr. If Rocky were to return, the film would have to choose between two awkward scenarios. Either Rocky's son would appear in Creed 4, which would contradict his decision to move to Canada and escape his father's shadow, or Rocky would leave Robert behind, once again abandoning his son after their long-awaited reconciliation. Either way, it would feel forced and unnatural, effectively undoing the satisfying conclusion that Creed 2 provided. Beyond the narrative issues, Rocky's presence in Creed 4 would also pose a risk to Adonis Creed's story. While Adonis has proven himself to be a compelling character in his own right, Rocky Balboa remains the most iconic figure in the franchise. If Stallone were to return, his presence would inevitably generate immense hype, potentially overshadowing Adonis's journey and taking valuable screen time away from him. Creed 3 made it clear that Adonis had finally stepped out of Rocky's shadow, and bringing Balboa back now would contradict that, forcing both characters to share the spotlight in a way that could undermine Creed 4's own narrative. Not to mention, Creed III already created an awkward gap in the story by excluding Rocky during a moment when his presence would have made the most sense. When Adonis's mother, Mary Ann Creed, passed away, it was one of the most emotional moments in the Creed saga. Given Rocky's deep connection to both Apollo and Adonis, his absence at her funeral was glaringly noticeable. If Creed IV were to bring him back, the film would be forced to address this plot hole, requiring Rocky to explain why he didn't attend Mary Ann's funeral. It would be an incredibly awkward and unconvincing moment, which is another reason why keeping Rocky out of Creed IV is the best choice. Another challenge is the Creed franchise's major location shift. The original Rocky films and the first two Creed movies were set in Philadelphia, making it easy for Rocky to naturally appear. However, Creed III moved Adonis and his family to Los Angeles, meaning that for Rocky to return, he would have to travel all the way to Los Angeles just to see Adonis. This limits the ways in which his character could be organically reintroduced. If Adonis were still based in Philly, Rocky could have made a brief return without disrupting the story too much. But with the new setting in place, his reappearance would feel even more forced. Bringing Rocky back would also create another unfortunate consequence. It would retroactively make Creed III the black sheep of the franchise. If Rocky comes back in Creed IV, Creed III would stand out as the only Rocky movie without him, giving it an unintended stigma. That's not a label that the franchise wants, especially since Creed III was widely praised and established Adonis as a standalone protagonist. If Creed III were to remain the first of many Creed films without Rocky, it would make Stallone's absence feel like a natural transition rather than an anomaly. On top of all this, if Rocky were to return, other characters in the Creed universe would likely have to be sidelined to make room for him. The Creed films have already struggled with giving proper development to characters like Bianca, and Creed III worked hard to correct that by giving her a bigger role. At the end of the day, Creed IV needs to focus on Adonis, his family, and his future. While Rocky Balboa's legacy will always be part of the franchise, his time in the ring and in Adonis's story has come to a natural and satisfying conclusion. The best thing Creed IV can do is let that ending stand, allowing the new generation to carry the franchise forward without being weighed down by the past. And that wraps up today's video. If you want to stay updated on all the latest movie news, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. By doing so, you'll stay in the loop with all our future updates. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next one.